Hello, my name is Brian Doherty. Our children were removed from us by armed Garda and agenda-driven social workers in Mr Kenny's constituency of Castlebar in January of 2015. The amount of effort, money and time dedicated to targeting my family, not to mention the complete disregard for the law, meant that this was an operation organised and executed from the very top of government as a result of us reporting an elite paedophile ring in Scotland to the Scottish Government. Since winning our 2 court hearings in February, my family has been under intensive and constant surveillance. In June of this year, 2015, after constant surveillance by the Irish Garda and Police Scotland and unable to get any legal representation due to our emails being intercepted, I emailed every TD and senator in Ireland about the persecution my family has faced from the Garda and social services. From all the people I emailed in the Dáil, I strangely only received automated responses from James Riley, Michael Martin and Gerry Adams. Even more strangely, the only real response was from Enda Kenny's constituency office. Surely this should have been from the office of the Taoiseach. Kenny's constituency secretary, a Mr Lohan, contacted me and requested only 2 pieces of information: the details of our court hearings in February and my current address. This seemed inappropriate, as this should have come from the Taoiseach's office. I replied to this email with details about the court hearings, but did not give him my address. I had emailed all Irish TDs and senators on a Thursday night. The following morning, I was contacted by a man called Phil Garland. He was a former senior executive for the HSE. He said he'd seen my YouTube video called Police Scotland Covers Up Paedophilia and that he wanted to help us with litigation against Tusla with his now private consultancy. The only thing was, as well as the coincidental timing, and extremely coincidental, he had emailed this to 2 of my email addresses. He could not possibly have known both of these. His email was cryptic, presumably because he wanted not to leave an obvious paper trail which could be used against him. Over the course of the next week, I received various emails from Mr Garland. He was desperate to speak with me over the phone. It was when I did not call him on that date he requested. I received an email from Enda Kenny's constituency office, that email asking for my current address. A few days later, Phil Garland contacted me by phone. Due to the slight echo, I was convinced I was on speakerphone. Garland wanted 2 main things from me from this conversation. The first was information on the complaints I had sent to the HSE and the Irish Garda. The second, and much more importantly, was the names of media contacts that I'd been in touch with and the names of their publications in Ireland and elsewhere. He then asked me where I lived and I told him County Donegal. He then made reference to the very north of Donegal, which is exactly where I was living at this time. This too seemed a bit strange and far too coincidental. He then asked if I got down to Dublin much, and I said I did not, and he seemed happy with this answer, which seemed again strange from someone who was purporting to help me and who was based in Dublin. In this scandal, which directly involves the Irish government, the Taoiseach Enda Kenny, the Injustice Minister Francis Fitzgerald, and the Minister for Destroying Children and Families, James Riley, who have targeted my family for reporting an elite paedophile ring, I'll always remember that midway through a stilted phone conversation with Phil Garland, who was desperate to know, clearly in Kenny's behalf, whom I'd contacted in the media, that when I mentioned I was in contact with a journalist from the United States, the phone was slammed down suddenly in a fury. It was clearly not done by Garland, because he phoned me straight back, calmly, and did not refer to this very strange incident. Needless to say that my ability to contact a journalist by phone or email, or their ability to contact me, ceased from that point on. At the end of our call, he asked me if I made notes from talking to people or whether I recorded conversations. I didn't respond to this. My wife had informed the judge in Castlebar in February that we could prove social workers were lying under oath in court as we'd recorded their meetings with us. Garland was clearly nervous about this possibility. He had spoken quietly and mumbled through our phone conversation, and I'd struggled to hear him. It was obvious he not only wished to be unclear by email, but he was worried about being recorded during our phone call. This was not a man who wanted to help me, and it was abundantly clear that he'd not just contacted me after seeing my YouTube video. The timing was not coincidental. I did not contact Phil Garland again. About a month later, a source informed me that my family was about to be attacked again by social services in the Garda. We stayed in the hotel in Letterkenny for about 2 nights until it was safe to return home. A few people contacted me over those 2 days. One of them was Phil Garland. Again, he sent his email to 2 different email addresses and not the same 2 that he wrote to before. I replied to him pointing out all the connections and impossible coincidences between my contact with Enda Phil and Garland's contact with me. I never heard from Phil Garland again. Thank you for watching.